Hi and welcome to another episode here on the channel. I'm glad you're tuning in, and today we're gonna talk about why the indexes are falling and if it's something that you should be worried about. Obviously, those macro news sometimes get you a bit worried about the situation, and when you see this video, you might your stress levels might get elevated, but I will let you watch this news and later I will react to it. But before we start, I would say what it is about, and it's about an AI language model from China, DeepSeek, that has caused some stir at Wall Street because we have been told that this model is doing some of the work the AI models are doing in the US for a much cheaper price, meaning that the US companies might be overpaying for AI. I will also address this statement later on because everything is not always what it seems. Wall Street are often playing some tricks, and it will be interesting to see what companies are really behind the massive spread of this news. Anyway, we dive into this news and see for yourself, and I will react after 5 minutes.
All right, a look at U.S. futures, yes, in case you're just joining us right now and wondering why some of these contracts are down 2%, 1% on the S&P futures. Yeah, well, you got to blame the bandwagoning? Is that the verb there on the DeepSeek trade? So the opposite of this is obviously a lot of the related stocks in China are actually moving to the upside here. And might this give you something to think about as far as stretch valuations in the U.S. and is there an alternative? Actually?
Yeah,
I think it's a question here.
Seeking deep meaning, going deep into this story. Obviously, investors are too, trying to figure this out. Is it a trend, or is this, a short-term trend, or is it something a little deeper, dare to say? All right, over the past few days, a Chinese AI company has been making waves in Silicon Valley, and my pen just dropped onto the floor.
I'll grab it for you. But yeah, go ahead, keep reading.
That's because AI models from DeepSeek have been scoring impressively on global benchmarks. The free open source large language model was unveiled in December. The lab behind it says it took 2 months and under $6 million to build. I think that's a key point right there. That's a fraction of what OpenAI and Google spent to train their models. Dave?
Yeah, $6 million.
How much has OpenAI and Meta and Google and Tesla spent combined?
Well, I know of more expensive apartments in Hong Kong than the budget it took to get this up. Last week, the founder of DeepSeek was the only AI leader selected to attend a meeting of entrepreneurs with Chinese Premier Li Qiang. And over the weekend, Xinhua published this editorial on how China's AI advances are working, despite Washington's tech curbs on the country. Robert Lee is with us, our Bloomberg Intelligence senior analyst. So
I like to pause for a minute and say that the tech curbs hasn't been that massive yet. It's just been like the high-end products from like Nvidia and AMD, but still before that a lot of very modern chips has been provided for the Chinese market, so there are still a lot of computing, so you should not overstate like the tech in this situation. I would still say that we have exported a lot of great chips to China. So yeah, it's just like the high-end AI market lately that has been a bit curbed, but yeah, a bit overstated. I would say that the news about like we haven't provided them with any chips, etc.
you told us so.
Well, we've been writing on this company for the best part of 6 or 7 months. And I think for anybody who follows the China AI sector closely, as we do, the profile has been relatively high in this part of the world. But what you've seen over the last week or so, prompted by the coverage and, as you said, the meeting with the Premier, it's helped raise the company's profile. both nationally and also externally. And this story's been picked up by a number of external news outlets. But, Bloomberg Intelligence, some lead, others follow. We've been, very active on this for, as I said, for quite some time.
It was the talk of the town in Davos, from what I understand. So what is the secret sauce, if you will? Is it the low cost, or do they have the processing power for the training and the deep learning?
Yeah, well, taking a step back with the export restrictions you saw on the NVIDIA chips, etc., has been a major challenge. There is clear evidence, I think, that the big tech platforms, the Alibabas and Tencents of this world, both preemptively accumulated inventory of chips beforehand and have maybe, gained a helping hand from their friends in other parts of the world to gain access to these chips. But then for smaller companies such as DeepSeek, although they still have access to a sufficient number of chips, this challenge has prompted them to become more innovative. And so the way in which they've developed the models is a far more computationally effective and therefore requires less chips and allows them to undercut their rivals cost-wise or price-wise significantly. So without going...
And that analysis might be a bit of a reach. The working force is a lot cheaper over in China. We don't know if their numbers is true. We did hear them talk about this company meeting up with the president of China. So there are a lot of things going on here. I would say be careful just to trust the numbers from China overall. This is why I don't invest in China anymore. Great companies like JD and Alibaba has always had great valuations, but can you really trust the numbers? And the proxy war between the US and the China, potential tariffs, competing about who's the big dog in the room, etc. So I would not overstate this situation and the numbers. It's a lot of PR going on, and Wall Street, sometimes they want to pump China stocks, sometimes they want to sell off, etc. Sometimes they want to make you scared so they can scoop up more of the American stocks. And just a short.
Into the technical detail on DeepSeek, it's something called a mixture of experts. It's the architecture they use. One of the first in the industry to do this. They've really managed to forge ahead, and as you mentioned in your preview, are ranked top 10 in terms of global large language models. So I think, again, this just highlights and illustrates the point that whilst Chinese tech companies faced, problems on the semiconductor and chip side, they have a very strong track record in terms of innovation and software. Alibaba, Tencent are two of the world's leading tech platforms. And that, in numerical terms, China has more software developers than the US by a ratio of approximately 3 to 1.
And what does this mean for US AI in particular?
Again, I think, the Microsofts, et cetera, of this world were undoubtedly aware of DeepSeek, but, it's the headlines that have probably prompted them to have a little bit of a rethink and think how they can compete on this. I think one consistent point we've made over the last 18 months or so is that the technical barriers to entry on software are not as high compared to something like semiconductors. So I think there's already evidence that some of the US companies are moving to this mixture of experts architecture.
You should not underrate that these news are coming out just after Donald Trump announced that the US will invest 500 billion in AI data centers, AI computing, etc. So this is a way of making the USA look dumb when they are saying that they are going to invest so much and that China can do this easier, cheaper, etc. So I wouldn't take this too serious in terms of the numbers. And I've followed, for example, Alibaba for a long time, and there are no magic solutions to those things. It will cost a lot for China also, and when they grow bigger and get wealthier, they will gain higher salaries. So in the end of the day, they will not easily win against the US in this market. But we know they are getting better, also in terms of car, like BYD, which Warren Buffett has invested in, has gained a lot of market share, even in Europe. So China are getting better. And as we said about Japan back in the day, you should not underestimate them, obviously. But also it's a lot of PR going on. So take it for what it is.
Sector, and I would expect the rest of them to follow. So perhaps that could mean that DeepSeek's progress is forestalled to some degree, but I still see it as, you know, one of the leading large language model developers out there globally. But again, it just shows that China is very closely positioned as the number 2 competitor to the US in AI globally on the software side.
And yeah, I wouldn't say they are very close in terms of AI. It was no data in these reports that really provided us with solid information that can be really compared. We should just follow the news the coming days. Don't sell out from any of your long-term investments. I still think that tech and AI is the future. AI, the Wall Street will probably scoop up more shares if you sell. Owning big tech is often the easiest way to earn a lot of money nowadays in the stock market. So, and I also think a lot of the companies like Meta, etc., has decent valuations. So, you should always do your due diligence. Don't get affected too much of like news reporting day to day. Just keep your eyes on the horizon and follow your way of investing. Read the financial statements, the quarter results, etc. It's reporting week also in the US now, so it's a very interesting week. So just keep going and do your best.